And the whole focus for World Water Day is to make sure that conservation is critical, but also making sure that we have the right instruments in place, the right structures in place to enhance job creation around water. We know that there will be a formal ceremony, but one of the officials who will be presiding over some of the events is the Deputy Minister of Water Resources, Works and Housing, and he's also Member of Parliament for Bodi in the Western region, and Samson Ahi is here in the studio. Thanks for joining me. And then you're going to have the formal ceremony. But critically on World Water Day, what really is the focus of the ministry in making sure that with the spread of equity in the provision of water facilities?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners. I think that as a country, we have to strive to ensure that our people have access to potable water on sustainable basis. And so governments cognizant with this have put in place a lot of programs, projects to ensure we have a vision to cover 100% by the year 2025. And currently, there are two institutions in charge of provision of water in Ghana. We have the Ghana Water Company providing water for the urban dwellers, and then the Community Water and Sanitation Agency providing water for the rural dwellers. Now, if you take the urban dwellers, we have covered 76 to 77%, which means in the urban areas we have a deficit to cover. And then the rural too have covered 76%. Also, there is some deficit of about 24% to do. And so we have put in place several projects, ongoing projects, to ensure that we're able to meet our target for 2025, the 100% water coverage in Ghana, no matter where you live. So we know that there are some Ghanaians today who don't have access to potable water. And so that's why government is working around the clock to ensure that programs, projects are put in place to address this deficit that we have as a country. So today's World Water Day will be marked at what is the name? Manchambona. Manchambona. And my minister, Dr. Kokwadi Mensah, will be there to supervise the program. And so all the actors in the water sector will be there, and the development partners, the NGOs, and the ministry, everybody will be there so that we mark this. But I believe the key issue here is to review today and see whether or not, as a country, we are doing the right thing in terms of provision, production and distribution of water to our people. And so we'll take stock and see what we have done so far, and then the efforts needed to put in place to ensure that we are able to provide water for our people. I'm sure now there is a trend now which is threatening our survival as a human, as people in this country. That has to do with the pollution of our river bodies, which has become topical these days. And the lessons from the Nsawam and the Adwajiri and the Winneba one as a test case.
Because the water dries up.
Because there was no raw water.
The human
activities, there was no raw water to be treated, even though we have a big system there to produce about 1.2 million.
But the resource is not available.
But the river, the water into the system
is not there.
Was disturbed, and so sometimes even diverted just to do galamsey. And so these are some of the issues on the table now, which the ministry is looking at it critically, because now people do farm along the river bodies. People even build houses sometimes 10 meters into the river. People also mine in the river. And so when you are talking about it before, people didn't see the need for us to actually protect these river bodies, because this serves the major source of water to be treated for our people. And so it is going to be one of the key issues to be addressed. But today's program, the theme is water and jobs. And so we have christened it Better Water, Better Job for
is
our people. No, not at all. And so when we want to find out what is the correlation between water and jobs, you see, and I've just been doing this analogy that this morning when you woke up, if you didn't have water to bath, you wouldn't have been here. So because you had access to water, if you needed to be here at 5 o'clock to start work, you were here. Assuming you have to walk distance to access water, instead of you coming here at 5 o'clock, you may end up coming here even 7 o'clock, which will certainly affect your output in the day. And so workers, and for that matter, Ghanaian workers, for them to be able to offer their best to develop this country, there's the need for them to have access to regular potable water so that it reduces the number of hours spent in struggling to have water, access to water. If it takes 2 hours for a woman to travel a far distance to have water, and the person has to, at the same time, go to work, you can imagine the effects on the national economy. We don't value it. But if you quantify all these time spent, time waste in trying to have access to water before you can report to your work, it is something that we have to look at it critically. And that is why we have to make sure that workers have access to water so that they don't have to struggle, they don't have to waste so much time just to look for water so that they can go to work. And also the water sector is also providing a lot of jobs for our Ghanaians. And if you look at the Ghana Water Company, the number of people employed, Water Resources Commission, the number of people employed, Community Water and Sanitation, number of people employed, and the non-governmental agencies, the NGOs and so forth, the number of people that the sector has employed.
How do we make sure that we relate the issue of conservation with the job creation and the protection of the water bodies? Because then there's some correlation there.
Yeah, but we have to,
because we have communities.
Yes.
They are encroaching,
yes,
but nobody's preventing, nobody's protecting the water bodies also. So at least people could be put there, or perhaps also if they could be hide. Or
yeah, that's what we are doing now. In fact, we have an agency called Water Resources Commission. They have the mandate to protect our river bodies.
But we know the shortcomings that they have.
Yes, yes, but over the years they have been embarking upon education and to the people. But as I've said, people felt that somebody who wants to build a house close to the river, when you confront the person, he will just tell you, that's the land I inherited from my great-grandparents, and so you can't prevent me. I want to do it. But today, because of the experience in Edwardjiri and the Sawam and so on, now people are coming to the reality that all of us must
are they coming, or that the sections of the communities that have been affected are those that come into reality? It's not as if it's a countrywide reality.
It was because it was highly highlighted in the country.
What step is the state taking, for example?
Yes, I'm coming to that. So now we have a project undertaken by Water Resource Commission, Buffer Zone project. The idea is that 100 meters from or into the river, we will not allow human activities. We will not allow farming. We will not allow construction of houses. We will not allow people to mine in that catchment area. And so this 100 meters away concept that's protecting the river bodies, the idea is to make sure that where we have lost the vegetative parts of our river bodies, we will do afforestation, we will plant trees to regain the distracted vegetative parts of our rivers. And also, now, if you go to Weja, for instance, we have a security post at Weja, we have seen that only the education will not solve the problem. And so sometimes we have to employ force to ensure that people do the right thing. And so there is a military post now at Weja, which is helping us a lot. So people are now afraid. People don't want to, be arrested. And so we are looking at trying to send it to Barakese, for instance, also in Kumasi, which is also facing the same problem. We are looking at working with the security agents to ensure that we provide security for most of the systems that we have, so that apart from the education, apart from sensitization, and the various communities that will have these facilities, we will enforce the bylaws to ensure that if you want to destroy the river bodies, you can be dealt with. So these are some of the steps that we are taking to ensure that we protect the river bodies, so that we'll have regular source of raw water to treat for Ghanaians.
And for example, yesterday evening I was doing a lot of reading, and if you look at some of the literature, for example, in Holland, they're almost 2 meters below sea level. It's a country that is surrounded by water. They have a lot of canals, but they do a lot of dredging, and so by that means they create a lot of jobs. There's also a fishing industry and a marine industry that is all around it. How do we make sure that when we're talking about encroachment, we also are talking about perhaps a proper desilting of the water bodies we have in the various communities, by the communities themselves, all in a scheme to make sure that the water bodies are clean, they are protected, but also involving the communities and thereby creating jobs?
Yeah, I think the communities by themselves cannot undertake this dredging or the Sultan project, because it's quite technical, and you need the technical people to be able to do it well. I think the community will have to come in to provide sort of watchdog to prevent people from actually dumping waste or polluting the river. In fact, in Winneba, when we faced that water crisis, we quickly had to arrange and then dredge the river. So we did it, and so there was free flow of water from one end into the system. With the water, once polluted, you have to desilt it, but it's quite expensive to desilt it, and so from time to time we'll do it depending on the situation. If you go to Sekandi Takrady now, the river in Cobra has been well polluted to the extent that it costs so much to desilt it, and so, but you have no choice also than to do it. And when you do that, it adds up to the cost of production of water, which if the water is clean, you will need just a little to treat it, and it becomes drinkable for the people. But if it is polluted to that extent, to the extent that people mining in the river, washing chemicals into the river, you can imagine the cost of treating it. And so we believe that we are now actually collaborating very well with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the various, for that matter, the local government ministry, so that I mentioned that people are building sometimes 10 meters into the river. In this country, per our laws, you can't build a house without getting a permit from a local authority.
But yet,
you go and the person will provide his or her.
Yet people are building.
He will provide you with his or her.
So it means that your coordination
permits
with the various sectoral agencies is not working.
That's what I'm saying, that we are now collaborating very well with them to ensure that.
For example, we know that there's an ongoing dredging activity in the Odo and the Koli. Even though it's meant for the rains, etc., it's also meant to make sure that we tend to desilt. I mean, we technically we'll call it dredging, so to speak. But all it be to make sure that
it's free flow.
How does that fall in line with the whole the whole agenda and the objective of making sure that we have free-flowing water bodies, not only in the big cities but also in the various communities?
Yeah, I think water flowing from one end to another must not be disturbed. If you disturb free flow of water, it will certainly create problem for all of us. And so if you think that, oh, instead of registering with a waste management company so that they will be from time to time be collecting your waste, you just want to take undue advantage of the presence of a channel. And so after sweeping, after collecting your waste, you just walk and then throw the waste into that channel, which sometimes contains water. It becomes problematic for everybody. The more you do it, then the whole river will be choked. It will be filled up. So when it rains and the river don't have access to free flow into whatever source, that certainly it will spread, hence flooding in our cities. And so I believe now what we have to do more is to get on board the chiefs, the assembly members who lives in these communities, who know who and who are doing illegal things against our river bodies, who know who and who are throwing waste in our river bodies, who know who and who are manning in the river bodies. They know them. They know them. I agree that it is the duty of government to ensure that we protect these river bodies. But government cannot be everywhere at any time, particular point in time. But if our chiefs and our local authorities will help so that if you are doing it, you are confronted, it will not be interpreted like that, or you are too know, as has been saying in the local place in Ghana. If you confront the person will just tell you, oh, you are too know. If all of us can collaborate very well, I'm sure we'll do.
For example, you see,
Yes.
I'm sure this Agbogloshi or somewhere, and you see that the whole water body that's supposed to be one of the tributaries or perhaps one of the channels of the Odo is all choked up.
Yes.
With filth. And sometimes you go in there, you see vehicle parts, even frames of vehicles, human bodies and things in there. How do we hope to intensify education so that we also tend to disabuse people's minds as to how they need to conserve water bodies and thereby also creating jobs?
I think what happened last year after the June 3 should be enough signals to all of us that we cannot cheat nature. You can't cheat nature. If you think that you are throwing waste, you are throwing whatever you have into the rivers, it will one day come and then hunt us. And so I believe there's the need for us to work together as a people. And I don't want the idea. I agree that we have to initiate, we have to make sure that the right things are done. But government is not President Mahama. Most people believe when they say government is President Mahama, forgetting that you living in Odo, along the Odo channel,
you'll be the first.
You will be the first person to be affected. And for that matter, you have to help in protecting the sanity of the Odo, so that we don't even go to the point where it has to flood and then cause this havoc that we experienced last year. And so I think that there are a lot of lessons today for us to do the right thing.
And we know this year, the theme for the World Water Day is water and jobs. And you can see jobs are created in relation to a desilting activity. And we know this very channel is one of the channels for the Odo, which has been soaked for years with a lot of filth and silt. But how do we make sure we improve the current status quo as it is? And according to what the statistics are, across the world, 1.5 billion people work in water-related sectors, and nearly all jobs depend on water and those that ensure it's safe for delivery. Yet the millions of people who also work in some of these areas are often also not recognized or protected by labor rights as well. So how do we want to make sure we have quality and also quantity in water supply and provision? And so it's also going to be part of our critical discussion. In the picture there you see the AMA Metropolitan Chief Executive, Alfred Okup van der Poy, inspecting an ongoing dredging project at the Odo and Kole. And we know that this is also stemming from a disaster, a flood disaster, which also recorded fire incidents last year on June 3. Now, this ongoing dredging activity is also to ensure that there's free flow of water in the Odo and Kole Lagoon, to ensure that when the rainy season intensifies, there's free flow of water. But the concern for many of these authorities is the fact that the attitudinal change that is expected among the population, i.e. the inhabitants in many sections of Accra, would need to be recorded. Now, we're doing good dredging, but if the attitudes are not right, then it means that it's almost as if it's not necessary.
Yeah. Last year after the disaster, you remember Ibrahim Muhammad's listen. He dredged the Odo, but today you can see another collection of waste in the river again, the Odo River again. So then you ask yourself, what has happened? And that comes to your point of attitudinal change. In fact, if as a people, we don't change our attitude, there's no way we can move this country forward. And so I believe that, and I agree with you, have to intensify the provision of security along these major channels so that will prevent people from doing the wrong thing. And I know now we have a sanitation court, and I believe the security agencies must also work so that people, when arrested, people who throw waste in the rivers arrested, they can be dealt with drastically to serve as deterrent to others from also doing the same thing. That's the only way we can have our security as a people in this country. Otherwise, I mean, like I said, last year we did dredging. This year we have to do another dredging. Next year we'll do another dredging, all at the cost of the taxpayers. Whereas if we, all of us, educate ourselves, if all of us know that it is not good for us to throw waste in these channels, it will be in our interest so that we can live in peace.
For example, it's raining and then they are sweeping everything into the ongoing gushing water.
Yes.
That is also leading to the various drains we have in the capital.
Yes.
It talks about the negative attitude we have.
Look at it.
Yes.
Look at it. You see?
Negative, really negative attitude. What is the ministry usually doing about some of these? Do you need a task force, perhaps?
You see, some of these things are under the control of AMA. In fact, the disassemblies, actually. We are responsible for construction of the channels, actually, to do the culverts, to do the concrete work, you understand? But maintaining them and managing them squarely fall under the various municipal and district assemblies. I guess that's why you saw the AMA Chief Executive trying to make sure that the right thing is done. Actually, we are not responsible for, I mean, this is clearly local governments, authorities who are supposed to make sure that people don't get themselves in this.
Now, let's talk about provision of water facilities for communities. How far have we gone with that?
Yeah, as I've said before earlier, We have covered the urban water 77%.
Those are the statistics,
Yes.
but let's talk the numbers.
Yes, the numbers in terms of
if it's 20
gallons
or 20 boreholes or...
Oh yeah, okay. At the moment, if you take the rural water, last year we started 1,000 boreholes, and this year we have also working with Chinese government. Well, Chinese government has given us grants to do additional 1,000 boreholes, and so these are ongoing projects in the rural communities. There are some World Bank projects also to do boreholes and small town water systems across the country. These are ongoing. And then when you come to the urban, today, if you go to Winneba, you find out that we are rehabilitating the Winneba system, the water system, and Akwatia too. We are doing a new system there. If you go to Achimota, the same thing. We are doing water system there. Barakasi was providing 24 million gallons to the people of Kumasi. We have added 6 million. And so today the Barakasi system is providing 30 million gallons. If you go to Nsawam, we are doing the test running to increase. Currently we are doing 1.2 million gallons. We are increasing it to 3 million gallons in Nsawam after the test running. If you go to Konongo, if you go to so on and so forth, areas, we are also doing water projects. We've done we are doing some expansion at Cape Coast to connect water from Manlo into Cape Coast to boost the water supply. And so there are several projects going on. In fact, we are anticipating that by the end of this year, we will reach 90% urban water because of the various projects, which some from June have to complete in June, July, November. By December, we should cover 90% urban water as we speak. So there are a lot of projects going on. As a country, by the year 2000, we had covered 56%, and the year 2008, we have covered 58.5%, and as we speak, from 2009 to date, we are up to 77%, and then by the year 2016, ending of 2016, we are anticipating to reach 90%. And so I guess we are doing. In fact, the problem today, particularly in Accra, we are producing more than is needed. Accra and Tema, on daily basis, the demand is 150 million.
But why do we have shortages? We have shortages elsewhere.
I'm explaining to you. The demand is 150 million gallons. We are now doing about 157 million gallons. The problem has to do with the distribution network. And that is why there are some places that, in spite of the fact that we have more water, they are been complaining. And it's a result of the fact that there have been newly developed communities. Ghana Water Companies has a specific distribution channel network. And because of the newly developed communities who don't fall on that along that lines, there's problems accessing water. And so last year, we had a grant from World Bank, $48 million, to expand the distribution network in Accra and Tema. We will start massive work from April this year, and people will see that we will be changing old age equipment, obsolete equipment, to replace them, and then also extend to newly developed communities, so that we can, because today if you go to Pong, we've added 40 million gallons. We only will be to pump 20 million. We can't pump the additional 20 million because of lack of distribution network. So the idea is to introduce this project so that we
when
can
is it starting?
By April, we have started already. We've gone through the consultancy processes, and so they are doing the building now. So from April, we will start this project. Ghanaians, people living in Tema and Accra will see that massive distribution network expansion in Accra and Tema. That is the problem now.
One of the critical concerns for many people is the subject of cost also. So while we're expanding, it means that they have to pay a lot more bills for it. Why do we have a rise in water provision as far as the cost component is for the average consumer?
Yes,
at least in urban areas.
Yes, I think that you know the cost of production comes with different reasons. Last year, because of the energy crisis, it affected production, and so we need most of our systems. We need energy to be able to work, to be able to pump water, and so if they increase tariffs in energy, it means it will increase your overhead costs in producing water, and so definitely we have to pass it on. In fact, if what we are doing today, now we are producing 1 cubic meter of water, it costs Ghana Water 1 cedi 75 pesos. 1 cedi 75 pesos. Sorry, no. It costs 8 cedis to produce 1 cubic meter of water. 8 cedis. And now it's being sold less than 3 cedis.
And so there's no correlation between the cost of production.
No, it's costing Ghana Water to produce 1 cubic meter of water,
which
is 220 gallons. 8 cities to produce it, and we are selling it around 2 cedis 75 pesos to consumers. What we are doing is that when we are doing the costing, we don't factor the costs of building the systems themselves. You understand? If we have added the cost of the system, like the system that we have in Pong now, which costs us so much, if we add it, then we cannot. But because we also know that water is a commodity which is needed by everybody, government don't actually add the cost of constructing all these facilities. So that is why we are able to. So Ghana Water Company, even at the operational level, are not able to break even. Now, how much is a bottle of Vortic water? It's 1 cedi. One bottle of water of Vortic is 1 cedi. But we are selling to you 220 gallons. 220 gallons, less than 3 cedis. And so I agree that
bottled water is 1 cedi.
That's how much it's sold.
1 cedi what?
I bought one Ghana cedi. Vortic water. I bought one yesterday.
Yes, it depends on where you buy it.
In the traffic. Yes. I bought it in the traffic.
It depends on where you buy it.
I know when you buy it, the boss it's not like that, but when you are testing, you are traveling on the listen. Yesterday I bought one around Sankara, 1 cedi, and then Ghana Water is selling 222 gallons to you at less than 3 cedis. So if you do the comparison, you appreciate the fact that government is not unnecessarily overcharging Ghanaians. And as I've said, because of pollution too, we need more money to be able to treat the water. And so these are some of the reasons.
There's always a problem with the revenue collection. Yeah. We know that there's been close association or an argument raised about how people have been trying to undermine the efforts of the Ghana Water Company through doing underdealings, undercutting, having illegal pipes in communities which have remained very much untraceable. How as a ministry have you been able to deal with that, or are dealing with that?
Yes, that is the lost water, which we cannot even account for it. Sometimes along the distribution network, somebody will divert the river into a ground canal, collect the water, and deny all those people at the extreme end from having water. And last year or so in Tema, you saw what the expose at the Tema, where people have done underground, and then they are collecting water into it, and they intend selling them to consumers. All these things goes on. And so we have a loss control department in Ghana Water Company, and their mandate is to be going around the city to detect and then arrest such people and then to punish them drastically to prevent others from also embarking upon such illegal and inhuman activities. And so it is true that the most of the river after production go waste, and that accounts for about it has now been reduced to around 45%, but which is quite huge now. And so we are working. We are now. Before we had one loss control department, which was in charge of Accra and Tema. Accra and Tema has been divided into 3 regions. We have the western and the eastern and the Tema regions. But now we have decentralized it, saying that in each of the region they should have a loss control so that their presence will be felt and help to check some of these illegal activities.
Now, when it comes to making sure that we strengthen the effectiveness of the revenue collection at the Ghana Water Company, how are we doing that closely with the structures we have at the local government authority level? Because then you have to know we have houses in there. They would need to have housing numbers, know the locations, know who they have to get to, do proper collection. I'm asking this on the back that there have been reports that there are even houses, even though there's flow of water, sometimes they are not built.
Yeah, it's true. And now what we're trying to do is to make sure that before you can be connected, you have to go through a process. And so you have to pick a form and fill and send it to the nearby office for assessment. And so before you are connected, that is the legal ones. You have to go through these processes for you to be considered for you to be connected, actually. But those who don't go through these processes, but just on their own steal the water, it becomes very difficult for us to actually do that. But from time to time, we do arrest, we do a sweep, and then arrest them, and then the law will deal with them. And so we are only asking everybody to help Ghana Water Company to make sure that we do good services, provide water for the people, because half of water is something that we don't joke with it. And so...
So your event is at Manchabo now, from 9 o'clock?
Yeah, from 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thanks for passing through. Samson Ahi is a Deputy Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, and a Member of Parliament for Bodi. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have entertainment for you. Gladys Oredu will be here.